We want the criteria that helps you to decide what you're going to give your attention to be, not because it is, not because it's manifested somewhere, not because it's somebody's reality or even your own. We want you to use your criteria for what you give your attention to be, how does it feel when I give my attention to it? Even better, how does this feel in relationship to that? How does this feel in relationship to that? If you will begin directing your attention based more upon how it feels, which is your in the moment vibrational sensor of what you're doing creatively, then you can change your world in anything you want in a very short period of time. But if you are a keen observer of what has been created, and some of it pleases you and some of it doesn't, then you're messing up your vibration with the part of it that doesn't please you, and you're using as your excuse, it's true, it's reality. And we say, so what? So what? Anything that's true just means somebody gave their attention to it long enough to make it true. And then when you come along behind and say, well, somebody is spreading a rumor based upon something that doesn't have anything to do with me, and then they're putting a label on it and calling it pandemic. Must be big. Not even epic, it's pandemic. Do you know how big pandemic is? Pandemic means everybody on the planet should be afraid of this all at the same time. And we say, we have never ever seen anything like that, and we've seen everything. So when you are faced with realities that are being offered to you by someone else, and you're not using your sensing mechanism as the criteria about the validity of the importance of it to you, but you're taking somebody else's word for it. They said it's important, so I should give it my undivided attention. And what you've got to begin to notice is that what they keep thinking is important, that they keep thinking that you should give your undivided attention to, is stuff that feels bad when you give your undivided attention to it. And we say, somebody's forgotten completely about their own guidance system. Somehow you've set it aside and you're letting somebody else decide what is important. And we say, we would, if we were standing in your physical shoes, get hold of our own guidance mechanism, and we would leave all of them out of the equation because their motives are different than your best interests. And we're not just talking about the spreader of the word pandemic. We're talking about anyone who seeks to influence anyone for any reason, because we want you to understand that you are extensions of source energy. Sometimes we don't think you really get what that means. That means you didn't just get started here in this physical body. That means you are consciousness, genius consciousness, that which you call God consciousness here in this physical body. And here you are out here on the leading edge of thought. And you joyously came into this environment of great variety, knowing that it would inspire within you new sensations of desire. Nothing ceases to be. Everything continues to be. And so here you do. You come forth into these magnificent bodies as genius source consciousness, having your individual exposure to contrast, which gives birth to the new idea. And when that new idea is born within you, source says, good idea. Source says, you should know. Source says, no one better to come to that conclusion than you right here on the leading edge of your experience. So then we come along and we say to you, when you ask, it is given every single time. And that's exactly what we're talking about. When contrast causes a preference to be born within you, source rides the wave of that conscious thought and immediately becomes vibrationally at one with the new desire that was born out of the contrast that you lived. So the largest part of you, the source energy part of you, lived the contrast along with you, felt the desire being born within you. You know when you don't have enough money, how you want more money? You know how when you're sick, you want to be well? You know when the roof blows off your house, you want the roof to be back on your house? In other words, you know how contrast causes desire to be born. And every time that desire is born, source says yes, immediately, instantaneously, and becomes vibrationally one with that. Now we can see how those of you in physical bodies who are getting really sort of hung up on the physical physicalness of your physicality. The physicalness of your physicality. It's just awkward to be physical, isn't it? We know how you get hung up on that physical stuff. And what we notice is that you get so involved in the physical that you don't pay attention to the vibrational. And yet everything that is now physical was at one time vibrational. We want so much for you to get the clear conscious knowing that you are in the process of becoming vibrationally. And then you allow yourself to become what you already became. That's what the art of allowing is. Finding a way to let myself become that which I have already become on some level of my being. On all levels of your being, you are setting forth these preferences. And Source says, yes, 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 yes. So you, if you could see you the way we see you, you are the become being of all of this stuff that, from your perspective, is being held for you in vibrational escrow. In other words, it hasn't manifested yet, so you don't think it's happened. But from our perspective, it's already happened. You caused it to happen as you sifted and sorted. With the genius-focused mechanism of your mind, you focused it into being, and Source, the Source part of you, went right along with that and became it instantaneously. Now, the reason that this is so important is because when that all happened, a very powerful vibrational signal came into being. The signal that really is who you are began radiating in a new vibrational way. And the signal of who you are and who you have just become is the most dominant signal in your universe, and it is now calling you to become complete with it. And when you hear the call and move toward it, you feel better and better and better. And when you get there, you feel ecstasy. But if you don't hear the call and you keep listening to some person who doesn't know anything except that it serves him to scare you, talk about pandemic, and you respond to something outside of you, then what happens to you is you move away from the call that is calling you. And the crevasse between who you really are and who you are allowing yourself to be in any moment gets wider.